Episode 20, back to the Mets. Back to what? Back to the Mets. Swept in Miami over this weekend after splitting with Washington during the week, after making strides of coming out of this mess they started themselves in this season. The New York Mets get swept in Miami, and I think basically end any hope that any fan could have had of this team getting back into this race, Nico.
I'm going to be honest because that's what I am when we do this podcast, this show. I have loved every second of this Back to the Mets podcast. This is episode 20 now. But I woke up today and I had zero desire to come on here and talk about this series with you because not only am I shocked, I'm devastated, angry, frustrated, every adjective in the book that you could come up with. Those words are adjectives, right?
Sure.
Sure. Verb, noun, adjective, whatever it is.
I asked you how to spell unacceptable 5 minutes ago, so you're asking me.
I cannot believe that they got swept in Miami. I was so, feeling good. You guys thought I was crazy after the Washington series. I was content with the split. Everything was fine. They were 12-7 in May. I kept talking about how they just have to continue to play good baseball and they'll find themselves right back in the race. And they took it, they crumbled it up and threw it out the window. That's what they did this weekend. 2 runs in 27 innings.
It's embarrassing. No, it's truly embarrassing. And you know what's funny? Like, you say shocking, this and that, and like, you can believe me all you want, not believe me, I don't care. Like, should it be shocking that they got swept in Miami? I mean, you said it yourself 5 minutes ago. Should it be shocking that the Miami Marlins swept this team? When you look at it on paper and the way both teams were playing, maybe sure. It's like, all right, it's a surprise. But we know what happens when this team goes to Miami. They forget how to play baseball. They just forget how to play baseball. No matter how bad the Marlins are playing, they go there and things shut off. I think it's kind of like the Yankees sometimes when they go to Tropicana Field. It's a house of horrors for them. Now, the Rays have been better over the past decade, 2 decades, but it sort of feels similar to that.
But that's the thing. Like when we talk about the Mets and when they go to Atlanta, right? Everyone has always called Atlanta, whether it was Turner Park or now Truist, that's the house of horrors for the Mets. But at least the Braves are good. Like it's no matter what, you don't want to get owned by a team that the way the Mets are against Atlanta, but you have respect for the fact that, hey, the Braves are just a tough team to play. They're really good. Same thing when the Yankees go to Tropicana Field. Like you just said, I mean, the Rays have been in the World Series this decade. They have multiple playoff appearances. Right now, they are the best team in the American League based on record. You might want to sit there and say that on paper they're not, but hey, they're almost 20 games over 500. The Miami Marlins have been horrible. They are a horrible franchise. They've been in existence for what? I think it's like 33 years. Were they born in like 93? They have like 5 playoff appearances. They are consistently bad. They were 7 games under 500 when we started this series on Friday. Why are the Mets so bad against the Marlins when every other team beats them easily? I don't understand. What is it about the Marlins? Are they partying too hard in Miami? Are they going out to the clubs? Like, what goes on down there?
I can't tell you. And it's funny because it's the way they lost. It's just in the most embarrassing fashion. It's 2 runs all weekend against one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball, against pitchers that, aside from Saturday, Myers can really pitch. He's had a good year and he's very good. Outside of that, the 2 guys they faced with Perez and was it Jackson Junk
or Phillips or whatever. It was his first start. He had made 15
relief
so it wasn't
appearances.
Junk. Okay, no, Junk's going today. Yeah.
Okay, so like you go up against guys who have ERAs in the 4s or the 5s, or guys that have never really started, and you score 2 runs, and plus a terrible bullpen. It was the most embarrassing way for them to lose. And outside of Juan Soto, nobody hits the baseball. Nobody. And he's on a stretch right now where you really can't stop him. But it's so embarrassing.
It's Yuri Perez is in the bottom 10 in the league among qualified pitchers in ERA. His ERA was north of 5 when that game started on Friday. He gives up the home run to Soto in the first inning, and you're like, all right, nice. Here we go. We're going to have a fun weekend. And they didn't score a single run the rest of the game. They had 3 hits, and Soto had 2 of them. Like, how can you not create runs? What is the issue? I don't understand the inconsistency. I played baseball in high school, but that was as far as I went. I've watched every second of the Mets since I was born. I'm 26 years old, and I still find myself confused about how this happens. Like, there's ebbs and flows in a baseball season. I get that. We're not going to watch a team be consistent for 162 games. Even the Braves just lost 2 out of 3 at home this weekend to the Nationals. It happens. But I mean, this is like the extreme. They just went 6-1 in a 7-game stretch, and they were hitting home runs. They had the 10-run 12th inning in Washington. Obviously, you had the big game on Sunday when Taylor hits the home run in the 9th inning and they come back to win.
That feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, the series finale against the Tigers, they mashed 5 home runs. And then all of a sudden, it just goes back to square one. Like, what happens? Like, why does it have to be so drastic?
I wish I knew. I just wish we could go back to the moment where they scored 10 runs in the 12th inning on Monday and feel that again. Feel like where we were at life at that point. I wish we could go back there, because at that moment, that was where I said, oh, we're going to have a summer here. We're going to have, like we talked about last episode, an interesting summer where they're going to compete and where they're going to be in this. These kids they brought up are producing. Benj has been great. And then they're going to get reinforcements back at some point. And then they may have a chance to go on a run, but I'm out. I'm done.
I'm getting there too. I can't, my brain won't let me be done. Cause like, let me give you this example. So I had a stat that I was going to use, and it was tweeted by Locked On Mets. So I'll give them the credit. The Mets have scored 2 runs or less in 23 games this year, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But when the Mets score 3+ runs in a game, they're 21-9. When they score 2 runs or less, they're 1-22. The 1 was actually just this past Thursday when they beat the Nationals 2-1. So before Thursday, they were winless when they score 2 runs or less. And you look at that and it's like, this team sucks. Like, it's horrible. The problem that I have is that my thought, like my brain went to, as long as the pitching continues to do what they do, the offense eventually is going to figure it out. And if they just keep scoring 3 runs a game, they'll win a lot of games and make up ground.
But just look at last season, right? We thought that was going to happen, and then it flip-flopped. When the pitching got better, the offense went down. And then when the offense got better, the pitching went down. So it's funny. Like, yes, in a perfect world, that's what happens. The offense figures it out and the pitching continues to be this great and they win games. But with this team, that if they
never that easy.
Figured out the offense, you knew the pitching would have taken a hit somehow, whether somebody got injured or just regressed in a big way. That's what it would be.
We kind of saw that in Washington, right? Because they obviously win the game on Monday. They had the 10-run 12th inning, and then they come out Tuesday and they score 5 runs in the first 2 innings, and Bichette hits 2 home runs, and you're like, all right, here we go again, up 5-0 with McLean on the mound, and he gets absolutely rocked, and they lose the game, what was it, 9-6 or whatever. And then the same thing on Wednesday. Soto hits 2 home runs, they score 4 runs, but then Zach Thornton's pitching, and they give up 8 and lose 8-4. So it's exactly what we saw in Washington last week. So you're right. The offense will figure it out, and then the pitching will go sideways, and it won't make a difference.
How different is life for, like, the Knicks fans right now? I mean, just, like, if you're a Knicks fan, and I'm not a big basketball fan, so I'm not going to take credit for the Knicks at all. I mean, I think it's cool, and I'm rooting for them, but I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm a massive Knicks fan.
I'm the same way, yeah. I'm like rooting for them, but I'm such a casual.
I'm not going to celebrate it as if I'm a fan. I'm just
right.
Wow, that's really cool. And that's the extent of it. Like, if you're a Knicks fan, you just have to, like, completely tune the Mets out at this point. Like, the Mets don't even exist in your world. For us, we don't have that, which is difficult. The only thing we are looking forward to now is Giants football in a few months. Like, this is going to be a long summer. is what I'm
That's
trying to get at.
that's been my biggest thing. I mean, I've said this to so many people. I mean, you can even see the wall behind me. I love the Mets to death. It's 1A, 1B. But if push comes to shove, if God came down right now and said you have the option of seeing one of your teams win a championship, I'm picking the Islanders. They are like my number one cream of the crop. I have season tickets. I'm at all 41 home games every year, maybe 35 if I miss a couple for work, other things, whatever. But the Mets make me angrier than any of my teams. And I've always said the reason for that is because I don't have anything else to go to when the Mets are bad.
Yeah.
Like if the Giants suck, which they have in many of the past 15 years, I have other things like the Islanders are starting. I'm a big Michigan football fan. I can get into that. So I get my fill of football. If the Islanders suck, it's the same thing. You know, in December, I'm watching the Giants in Michigan, or sometimes in March, like this past year, I was so locked into March Madness and Michigan's run to the national championship that it's okay that I'm watching the Islanders collapse at the same time because at least I'm getting something else.
Right.
In the middle of May and June and August and July, the whole summer, I have nothing. If the Mets are bad, my sports world is a disaster. Like you just said, all I'm doing now is watching OTA videos for the Giants, trying to get excited for a sport that doesn't start for another 4 months. So
Right.
this is it. That's why we're so desperate for them to be competitive over the summer, because I got nothing else.
We're actually midway through the offseason, by the way. Yeah, 14 more Sundays now until football. Yeah, they're all great points. They're all great points. And then, on top of it, it doesn't help that Philly's figuring it out and they fire their manager and it's been, just gung-ho from there. And Atlanta's the best team in baseball and they can't be stopped. By the way, they have the best ERA in baseball with all the injuries they've had and the issues they've had with their staff. Who's their pitching coach? Jeremy Hefner, best ERA in baseball.
Right.
I digress, of course, right?
And I'm trying to get excited about the Yankees being like, what are they, 5-10 in the last 15? But it really doesn't even matter because they're going to make the playoffs, and the AL is so bad that they're almost guaranteed to go to the ALCS, right? Unless they lose to the Rays in the division series, and it would be the same thing as last year where they win the wild card at home as the 4 seed,
Right.
being the first wild card, and then they have to go to Tampa and they lose the ALDS. Okay, yeah, that'd be nice, but this regular season is nothing for the Yankees because they're going to walk to the playoffs.
I can't get there. I can only really root against the Yankees and have fun with it if the Mets are playing somewhat well. I just get no joy out of it right now. Like I can't, because we're so bad.
Yeah,
I just feel like such a loser.
I'm petty when it comes to this, but I really badly want the Mets to like win first.
That's fine.
So
like
don't get me wrong. Like obviously the Mets losing is nothing is going to make me happy necessarily, but as long as I see over there that they're not winning a championship either, it makes me feel a little better where it's like, okay, maybe there's still hope that we could have like a 2024 where they just go on a magical run and win a World Series while the Yankee fan is still suffering.
No, of course. Like there was a relief when the Dodgers won the World Series in 24. Like
Right.
No doubt. I'm not telling you I was rooting for the Yankees. I was rooting for the Dodgers. But I just it's not even close. Like we're not even close. That's the problem. That's the issue. We're not even close right now to feeling that.
And it's so funny because I've gotten so mad at David Stearns, right, for being so analytical, and it's all about what the computer says and the numbers, and there's no human element involved in his decision making, right? Like that was one of my biggest issues with what he did this offseason was he just took a bunch of guys and threw them in a clubhouse, and because on paper they're all good baseball players, it's supposed to just magically click. When that's not always the case. There needs to be continuity and camaraderie in that clubhouse. And that, we see it. Look at the 2024 Mets, not to use them for every example, but the rallying cry that Jose Iglesias had with, the OMG song and then obviously Grimace and like them coming together when they had the players only meeting, I think that was more important than having good players on the team. if that makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit. It makes somewhat. It does to a degree. It's just you need both because they had good players. You know, they had magical runs. Yes, Jose Iglesias magical run, fine. Lindor MVP like season, fine. They had good players on that team though. Let me ask you this: how empty is the stadium today?
I'd be very surprised if it's sold out. I mean, especially because the weather. I'm looking at my window. The weather's kind of cloudy. It's just like, eh. I have free tickets to go to the game Tuesday night, and I'm gonna go, but I'm not even excited. I'm seriously just taking my girlfriend so that because I know when she goes to games, she's gotten very into the Mets. By the way, I kind of love it. She
Wow,
thinks that baseball. It's surprising because she hates football but likes baseball.
really?
Usually you'd think it's the opposite, I know. But she likes like the walk-up songs and
Yeah,
like they all like, get their moment at the plate. But anyway, she likes to like walk around. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. This is the
right.
perfect chance to do that. This is not a game where I am even excited to go to. I don't need to be in my seat locked in for the full 9 innings.
It
So
could
I'll
be her.
take
It
her
could be
and we'll
her night.
walk around.
It's good.
Yeah. Right.
And it's also, I mean, it's such a nice stadium, and it's
Right.
very accessible. You can actually go to games as with football. You got to go a million miles to get to the worst stadium in the league, and it's just a bleep show. So that I guess that does make sense. The going to the game aspect.
What I wanted to say too earlier when I was talking about the locker room and blaming Stearns for not making it, human element based. None of his decisions are based on that. I sat there on Sunday after that game ended and I was like, you know what? Maybe these players are just robots. Because how do they not use the Tyrone Taylor home run against the Yankees as a springboard? Like we have so many examples of that being a thing, right? Wilmer Flores in 2015, the big home run against the Nationals after they traded for Cespedes, and he thought that he was going to Milwaukee in that deal that was 2 days earlier. Use that, and they go on a crazy run. Like we said, 2024, the players only meeting. Iglesias gets called up. It's a rallying cry. They go up and they go out there and do it together. I really thought that on Sunday when Taylor hits that home run, they were like going to use that as motivation and go on a run. And you saw it Monday in Washington, and then it just like collapsed. Like, do they not? Is there no like excitement in that clubhouse at all for
I
anything?
I wish it was that easy. Like that's the issue. Like I wish it was that easy because like what you're saying is true. Right? Like it should do that. It should have been a springboard. But if you don't have the right collection of players, like you mentioned before, it doesn't really matter, right? Whether it's talent, whether it's camaraderie, if you don't have the right group of players in that locker room to get these guys going, and I think Soto's done a decent job of being a leader and stepping up in that clubhouse, especially with the younger guys like Ewing and Benj. Like, there's really nothing you can do at that point.
Yeah, it's just like even I'm trying to find ways to take positives out, and I just can't do it. Like I remember when we looked at the schedule, and we've been complaining, and I have too, that it's ridiculous that they've had to go to California 3 times already, and it's going to be a fourth next week when they go to San Diego the first weekend in June. That is so, not to make excuses for them, but that is so unfair that they have to travel to California 4 times in the first 10 weeks of the year. But then the positive side of that is my thought was, hey, maybe it'll be good for the guys who a lot of them don't know each other. It'll be good bonding, right? A lot of travel. They're on the plane together. They're in the hotels. They're sightseeing, whatever it is. They're all together away from their families, bonding. And I feel like it's none of that. None of that has happened at all. And I don't know if that's a managerial thing where like Mendoza has to step in and get them to know, feel like they're together as a team more. I don't know. It's just something seems off.
Everything feels off. And look, I mean, we haven't had this conversation in a while. The Mendoza conversation. Like, do you want to have it? Like, at this point when you kind of have no life and you talk about the locker room and what goes on in that clubhouse, and then go back to even last season and how they ended. Is it worth it to have that conversation right now? Like, how does he still have a job?
I mean, I think you have to look at what Philly did. and say why not. The only problem that I have is that Don Mattingly is the perfect guy when you're looking for, a momentum swing. Like in baseball, when you fire a manager, nothing is getting changed in terms of like strategy, right? Like besides making the lineup and, bullpen decisions, is there really that much strategy that goes into it?
I mean, why you're saying you think Stearns is making the lineup and Stearns is making the calls?
No, I'm not. But like, if they're gonna fire Mendoza and then Kai Correa is gonna take over, and he's just as analytical as Mendoza and
Right.
Stearns, so nothing's gonna change. Like, I think if they had someone like Mattingly, who's a guy that was, borderline Hall of Fame player himself, has managerial experience, like a tough, loud guy that can come in and really wake the team up, I would say let's do it.
Well,
But like, I don't find Kai Correa as the guy that's going to change anything, in terms of like what we're talking about with like motivation and life. Like, I think it's just going to be, he's a very quiet guy,
I agree.
Players manager, doesn't do anything different than Mendoza.
I agree with you, and that's why I think if you're going to make a change, it has to be like a Beltran. Not to harp on this again, but it has to be something different because you are 100% correct. It kind of feels like you're just firing Mendoza to fire Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hiring Kai Correa, it's not going to change anything. I don't think that changes anything. Now, if you hire Beltran, I don't think much is going to change in terms of winning, but maybe you find your next manager for the next 5 years.
I mean, Philly was literally worse than the Mets.
Yes.
At one point this year.
Yeah.
And now they're 500.
Right.
And everything's fine for them. They're right back in it. They're what, 3 games out of the race in the wild card. While the Mets are still sitting down there 7 games out.
If you were going to fire Mendoza, you missed your chance already to at least save your season. I think at this point, May 25th, let's just take a look at the exact numbers. You're 7 games. I mean, you're not completely out of a wild card spot. You're 7 games out of a wild card spot. You're 22-31.
But look at who's in the third wild card. Look at why they're only 7 games out.
No, I know.
It's because the Cubs have lost 8 in a row.
They lost 8 in a row.
So it's not like the Mets are doing enough to stay in the race. It's because the teams that are sitting in the spots are trying to hand it to you and you're not taking it.
It's just like, I don't think firing him is going to have the same effect. And I guess it's worth a try, but I don't think it has the same effect as the Phillies firing Thompson and bringing in Mattingly when it was that easy. It was easy. That's an easy move.
Yeah, it lined up perfectly for them. And that's why they brought him in as the bench coach to start the year.
And when you completely fire Mendoza's staff, and I know Gibbons wasn't the greatest bench coach in the world and wasn't the greatest manager when he was with Toronto, but when you hire a completely new staff and you basically take a lot of the power away from Mendoza, because I think it's safe to say that Stearns and the front office had a ton of say in who they were going to hire in terms of his coaching staff. How do you not hire somebody with some experience? I mean, when Mendoza left the Yankees hired Brad Ausmus, who was getting looks. He was a manager with Detroit. He was getting looks prior to that season as a manager. He has gotten looks. Like, I'm not saying Boom was on the hot seat at that point, but they hired somebody with experience. Like, hey, just in case we have to move on, here's a guy that has been here before and is somewhat coveted by the rest of the league.
It's just, it's aggravating because there's nothing you can do now. Like that, we're sitting here saying like that Kai Correa is not going to change anything. Okay, so then what? They're just going to leave it as is and just keep going?
I don't know. Jarred Kelenic got DFA'd.
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
He's with the White Sox.
Yeah. The
Crazy.
White Sox are in a playoff spot, by the way.
I saw that. The AL is a joke. The AL is a joke.
But it's just
the Twins are in a playoff spot. How about that? And the A's.
It's annoying though, because when I said that they could be an 87 win team, it didn't have to be like consistent the whole way. Like when you're an 87 win team, there's obviously going to be a lot of ups and downs. But like, don't be 9 games under. Like, be the Pirates right now. If the Mets were 27 and 26, I know it's hard to, sit here and think of it because we're over 50 games into the year. And obviously now when they're 9 games under, it's easy to sit here and say, yeah, of course I wish they were a game over 500 instead of 9 games under. But like, if you think about it, like, I really don't think I would have been that upset based on coming into the year. You might have been, because I know you had them winning north of 90 games, but like,
Yes.
I would have been so okay with them being 27 and 26 and 2 games out, because we would have been looking at the first 2 months completely differently. We'd be sitting here saying like, all right, hey, we're getting to know Semien and Bichette. And I know Robert and Polanco got hurt, but like the new guys, Benj trying to figure it out as a major leaguer. Ewing gets called up when Robert goes down. Like, it would just feel so different if they were a 500 team instead of 9 games under. Like, I don't think we'd be so quick to be hating on Bichette and Semien.
I mean, as disappointing as it would have been, I don't think it would have been shocking for a brand new collection of guys to struggle a little bit early, like the way
Right,
they
like, I think
constructed this team.
we would
You're
have
right.
given them more of the benefit of the doubt
Yes.
of like, hey, they're new, let's let them
27
figure it
and
out.
26. Yes. I was just looking at their expected win loss. Imagine they were 24 and 29. I think we're still sitting two games better. I think you're still sitting here saying, all right, well, that would have been 4 and 3, right, on this road trip. And I think we would have came here and said it wasn't good. I would have said wasn't good enough, but you're still in this thing.
Right. They would have been 5 games out
At this
at 24 and 29. And I think I certainly would have taken that. I said it on when we recorded on Friday that, hey, if they go in there and win a series and come home 4 and 3 after the 5-1 homestand, you'd be feeling great. And they couldn't even do that.
And I wanted a sweep.
And now I don't even know what to think on this homestand coming up. Like, my original thought was 4 and 2, because that's usually just like the basic, like, all right, just win 2 series, right? Take 2 out of 3 against the Reds, take 2 out of 3 against the Marlins, 4 and 2.
You need a winning streak.
Yeah,
You
it's like
to get any fan back into this, to get people believing, you need a little bit of a winning streak here. It needs to be like a 6 to 7 game winning streak, and you gotta make up that ground fast if you're gonna get the fans back into this thing.
I say it now, and then it's like they'll go 4 and 2, and I'll start feeling good again. But then they're going to Seattle and San Diego, and I have no faith. Like, the Padres have been great this year. They've been going, back and forth with the Dodgers for first place in the NL West. So that's going to be a brutal series. And Seattle last year, I know they're, 4 games under 500. They were just in the ALCS last year. So don't tell me that that's a bad team. So they're going to go 4 and 2 on the homestand. I'm going to get excited just for them to go out west and have a 2 and 4 road trip, and we're back to square one. And then it's like, yep, they went 6 and 6 in the last 12 games and gained absolutely nothing.
Today's the big test because you're facing Nick Lodolo, who's been terrible. He just came off the IL. I know this very well because he's on my fantasy team, and I was going to drop him this week. I was going to drop him for this upcoming week and go add a new pitcher. But I was like, oh, he's facing the Mets Monday. I mean, I'm gonna keep him one more. I'm gonna give him one more start against the Mets. Let's see what it looks like.
7.20 ERA.
You can't hit Nick Lodolo today. I'm done.
And then they're facing Chase Burns on Tuesday, who's got a 1.83 ERA and a 6-1 record. So I have no idea who's pitching Wednesday. I think it's Abbott.
There's nothing past today for the Mets.
Yeah, I think if logically, you never know because, like we said, they've been getting shut down by bad pitchers. But I think logically, you'd like them to win the first and third game of the series and lose Tuesday. That would suck for me because I'm going Tuesday, like I said. But
you should see Chase Burns.
Yeah.
Great. Well, in the Mets world, they win Tuesday and lose the other 2.
Right.
They beat Chase Burns and then they lose to Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott.
Yep.
That's usually how this goes. Yeah, I'm not looking for. I don't know if I'm even gonna watch today. I mean, maybe I'll watch the end of it. I don't know. I'm not making time for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's my problem right now. I can't get into it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I was at work yesterday watching the game, and it's so brutal. I had the double box because I got the 2 TVs in the control room. One
Right.
game's the Yankee game, one game's the Met game. Both games were actually 0-0 going into the 9th inning. And it's like, Christian Scott was awesome in that game. Multiple times he got himself into trouble. There was a bases loaded 1-out situation. I think there was at one point first and second 1-out, and he just continued to find a way to get through tough jams and keep the Marlins off the board, and it was completely wasted. How about Jonah Tong on Friday? 3 hitless innings out of the bullpen.
Yep.
And they can't score.
How about these stats for you? 53 games in. This is Locked On Mets as well. 27th in runs, 27th in average, 30th in on base, 30th in slugging, 29th in WRC plus, weighted on base average, 30th. They also ranked dead last in OPS with a 642, a whole 20 points lower than the 29th ranked Padres, which is kind of shocking. But that's the state of the New York Mets right now, right there.
They got to go on a win streak at some point.
You see the lineup for today?
I did not. They came out with it.
Benj DHing, Bichette at short, Vientos at first, Semien at second, so no Soto.
He's
again.
still, what has he got, the flu again? Still?
AJ, is that what it is? He's sick? I saw
I saw a flu.
I saw he was ill yesterday. Ewing in center hitting 5th, Taylor in right hitting 6th, Morabito in left hitting 7th, Beatty at 3rd hitting 8th, and Luis Torrens hitting 9th. That is the lineup for the New York Mets today.
I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, it's just no Soto makes it really disgusting.
Right.
So it's just
Semien batting cleanup is so funny.
This is where we're at. This is where we're at in the season. It's May 25th, and I mean, I made a video yesterday after they gave the walk-off grand slam. So I'm done. That was like instant. That was I made that video instantly after I got the notification of the grand slam. It wasn't posted instantly. Something else had to go out, but that was posted that was instant reaction to them getting walked off for the grand slam.
It's how I felt too. I mean, as soon as the game ended, I texted my buddies and I was like, I'm so ready to chalk it up. And I just it's so annoying because it doesn't take a lot to not have to do that in May. It is May 25th. And I'm sitting here texting people saying how I'm ready to chalk up the season. Like, it seems impossible.
It's possible. I think today you might have a little bit of a crowd because you had tickets to this game probably for a while, Memorial Day. Yeah. And I know it doesn't look nice outside, but it's not raining for the first time in 48 hours. So maybe people just want to get out of the house and go. But I think tomorrow night and Wednesday night, and even this weekend against the Marlins, I think you got a fully empty Citi Field. And yeah, I think that's good. I think when a team is playing poorly and there's no action and you don't hear anything from the front office and ownership, I think it's good. I like boycotting. I like making, as much as I love Steve Cohen, man, I love Steve Cohen and I don't blame him. They got hurt a little bit. They got to hurt because yes, last year the ticket sales were great. Prior to this season, the ticket sales were great. They did a great job with selling tickets before the year started, especially season tickets. Let's hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not buying tickets to games. I have free tickets to the game on Tuesday. I still have the voucher from last year. I was at the game where it was like the million fans.
Okay.
And they gave everyone that went to that game free tickets. So I still have that voucher that I'll probably use. Maybe I'll use it, this weekend when they play Miami. If not, I'll wait till they come back after the California trip. I think they play a 6-game homestand like mid-June. It's the Cardinals and the Braves.
Right.
So maybe I'll go to one of those. But yeah, besides that, I'm not buying tickets to games anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll watch every game. I'm gonna be, my girlfriend wanted to go get brunch today after we finished this. And I said to her, I was like, gotta be home by 4. But I'm not going. I'm not going to games unless
I'd-
they're free. What, you're laughing that I have to be home by 4 to watch today?
I can't believe that. I feel bad for your girlfriend. If I was your girlfriend, I would be like, you got to go home and watch the 22-31 New York Mets on May 25th. I would freak out. Freak out.
This actually has helped me because I can use it now.
What?
I can't record a podcast without watching the games and knowing what's happening. Yeah, I gotta go home and watch.
Gotta go home and watch. Gotta go home and watch. I gotta pick up my bagel. Got my bagel. I'm about to finish my bagel. That's gonna do it for us, though. Be back after this Red series. I'm gonna finish my breakfast, which is now turned into a lunch and a brunch. Nico's gonna go get brunch with his girlfriend right before the Mets play a 4:00 game against the Reds because he has to be back to watch this game. We'll talk to you guys after the Red series and before the Marlins. Let's get a winning streak because that's going to save us. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, of course. And check us out on social media, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're back to the Mets on Twitter. Check us out there. We will talk to you guys next time.